MBTI, I think I am INTP is what me and everybody else, like everybody who cares about MBTI, that's what they've all kind of agreed on, INTP. I think I fall kind of in between on a couple of those. I think sorting people for MBTI is very rigid and difficult, but that is just what seems to be the consensus for me. That's what I tend to get whenever I take the little quizzes. See, that's the thing. I think I fall between T and F when it comes to the INTP versus INFP. The thing for me is that, because T and F is all about how you make decisions and how you guide your choices and stuff based on logic or based on emotion, right? But I think a decision that is entirely logical is cold and heartless, and a decision that is entirely emotional is careless and hasty. And you cannot do only one over the other. And honestly, you shouldn't even really prioritize one over the other. You should have a clean mix of both in any decision. It's super important. You should think about the consequences as well as like how you feel about it, you know? So I feel like I fall between. But somebody has told me, in fact, multiple people have told me, that just intellectualizing it in that way makes me INTP rather than INFP. So I just kind of accept that. Apparently just like being able to put it into that kind of words is a very logical process. So, and then I also kind of feel like I fall in between on P and J, but I feel like I'm probably more P. I don't know. It's tough. I think humans are complicated, and I realize that having these kinds of things can bring a sense of comfort, you know, to identify yourself. Same thing with labels, you know. I personally despise labels and I hate them and I don't want any of them ever. But I know that for a lot of people, they offer a sense of comfort. So I respect it. It's just not for me. Yeah, I feel like with most things, any metric is going to be a spectrum. You're going to have some that are bigger than others. Same thing with introversion and extroversion as a separated idea from MBTI. I feel like people are kind of allergic to the idea of like it actually being a binary thing, being an introvert versus an extrovert. Some people are like, no, I'm an ambivert. We've talked about that once. They invented like another one too, but I don't remember what it was called. I don't believe in any of that though. Yeah, I think in any personality trait, everybody has a certain threshold of what they can take and what they need. And if you don't have what you need, or if you've got more than what you can take, you're going to be upset. Introvert. I don't believe in that. I said it before. I'm standing on it now. I stand on business with this. I don't think that's real. I think you're just an introvert. I support you. And if it brings you comfort to call yourself an introvert, then I believe in you. I'm sorry. I think to use anything other than introvert and extrovert requires a fundamental misunderstanding of what these words mean, which is understandable because a lot of people don't know what they mean. There's a very common misunderstanding of like, oh, I'm a socialite, so that means I'm an extrovert, versus I'm antisocial, so that means I'm an introvert, when that's not at all how it works. It's very complicated. It is actually just on a fundamental level, it has to be a binary thing. I don't think there's any room for anything else for that one. But you know what? I support you. And honestly, part of why I feel so confident to denounce it is because I've related to the feeling behind the idea of introvert before. But then when I actually learned what extroversion and introversion meant, I realized, oh, I'm just an introvert. Does it suit your expectations? That's what I'll ask instead. Now what? Do you think it's possible to change between introvert and extrovert? Ooh, I'm not sure. I feel like it's probably innate, right? I feel like you can definitely change based on like how much you want to socialize, right? But that's not introversion or extroversion. Like the amount you want to be social is not introversion or extroversion. What matters is like how it feels when it happens, you know? I feel like, because over the years for me, I've become way more social. I used to be the most antisocial, not even like asocial creature alive. I was like living under a rock, would not talk to anybody when I was younger. I didn't have any friends till like late middle school, and I was happy with it. I liked it. But I think as far as introversion and extroversion, I don't think I've changed at all. I think I've always been an introvert, and I probably always will be, even as much as I love to socialize. Changing between them and ambivert? Well, my perspective may be a little bit limited. If you feel that you are an introvert in one part of your life and an extrovert in another, who am I to tell you that you are not some secret third thing? I'm not a scientist, and this is also not science. It's all made up anyway. What? Does that make me strict? Listen. I'm just being real, okay? I'm just being real. It is because I have love in my heart that I will always tell the truth. Yeah, all jokes aside, I know I love to joke around and be silly about it, but if you do find serious comfort in these labels, I do hope you don't feel like dismissed or anything. I totally support you. And I totally understand that it can bring a sense of comfort to have these kind of identifiers. And I understand that sometimes you need an identifier, but there isn't one for you, so you invent another one. I understand that's also a very common thing. Also understandable. Love languages. What are mine again? Hold on, I have to Google what they are. And I'll have to give you an order now. That might be slightly different than the last time I said this to anybody. Because I always forget them. Or rather, I forget what they all are. I remember a couple of them, so those are probably the ones that I like. Let's see, there's acts of service, quality time, words of affirmation, physical touch, and receiving gifts. Okay, I like to give, or maybe, should I do give or receive? Or I guess both of them, right? Is how it works. You do both of them when you share these. For receiving, I care more about quality time and then words of affirmation and then acts of service and then receiving gifts and then physical touch at last. Because in general, I think time is really, really valuable. So I think anything that takes time is really valuable. Honestly, I may even change the order a bit and do like quality time and then acts of service. Though I do feel a little bad whenever people do things for me, to tell you the truth. But I don't know. There is a very special part of my heart that gets warmed if someone is like, yeah, I know you've been dealing with a lot recently, so I did this chore so that you wouldn't have to do it. Like if a sibling will take on the dishes so I don't have to do it that day, or like, you know, things like that. That means a lot to me. Yeah, I just like anything that takes time and thought. That's where I can kind of make an exception for gifts, though I feel bad getting gifts too. I always feel guilty. That's one of my problems. I don't know if you call it a red flag per se, but it's something I've always struggled with, is receiving kindness in the form of gifts. I'm very bad at it. But I can kind of work my head around it if it's a gift that took time and thought rather than just a bunch of money. And then when it comes to giving, I don't know if I can give a clean one because I try to adapt my approach based on what I think other people like. So with some friends, I'll just make it very clear that I'm there and that I can hang out with them. And then others, I might do things for them. I do think because I personally like receiving anything that takes time, I tend to maybe almost subconsciously default to those two, quality time and acts of service, when it comes to showing love to other people. Because, it's because that's what I would like. Sometimes I think, okay, they would like this, but that's not always the case. As I get to know people better, I tend to adjust my approach a little bit based on what they like, I think. But yeah, naturally speaking, like just in a vacuum of just me and just my brain and the way that I work, I think it would be those two. And then a big, big gap, and then a couple more, and then a big, big gap, and then the last one. Yeah, I think it's the best way I could sort those. Does that tell you anything? Does that fit with your image of my personality? Are you learning things about me? Is it consistent? It's interesting. Confirming thing. Well, what's that supposed to mean? What do you mean by that? Now I'm scared. Confirming things makes it sound like you had suspicions. Makes it sound like I'm suspected of something. I've been incriminated just now. What do you know?